So digital drawing, I started out about 2 years ago, I believe, and these are some of my very first digital drawings inside Photoshop. I can tell the lines are very sketched up. Everything looks awful, but I know honestly it doesn't take too long for you to get the grasp of it. And this is what happened after 2 weeks of practicing. You can see I finally get the details in the eyes correctly. The colors become more massive. I added more. You see right here, more particles sort of ish, and then continue on for 2 more months. I added more effects and stuff like that using the eraser tool and getting more smoother. And this is something from half a year ago. And this is something I'm doing currently. So the things I do right now. So here is just a list of things that I learned within those 2 years of Photoshop drawings. So here's just a few tips from me, and I hope you enjoyed it. So everybody knows how the opening sequence goes. So here's the length and here's the height. So something you might want not be too careful of right now is the resolution of your image. Sometimes when you start a drawing inside of Photoshop, for example right now, so if I get my brush tool right here, lower down the size, and I start drawing, let's go smaller in detail. Sometimes you actually feel like the accuracy of your lines is actually not that good. So that's something I experienced myself. So what you want to do is that I normally stick the resolution up to 1200, and that will make it more like paper-like, so if you have more of a closer connection. So with this, ideally you should get a better line, more accuracy, and you can see right here, when you draw something, the line weight is more accurate, and everything just works a lot better, more like a pen function. So yeah, if you really create a new document and it's the resolution you believe too low, just simply go to images, go to image size, and just change the resolution right here. You can change it to whatever you want to. If you found the resolution is too high for printing, just change it back to 300. Okay, and automatically rescale to that size. On the other hand of things, if you found the resolution is too low for yourself, go to image size again, resolution 160, and that'll resize it back to what it should be. And that usually works to varying degrees of efficiency. So that's the first thing I want to talk about, and the second thing I want to talk about is opacities. So let's delete that one. Control A to fill, Control F, F5, Control F5 to fill it back in. Okay. Opacities. So let's look at one of the examples from my PowerPoint. So with specifically within this drawing. So this is something I picked up within the second month of drawing, and you can see the opacity changing right here. So how this is done is actually pretty damn simple. So first, let's draw a simple face. Let's draw a simple face. Make sure the brush tool is selected with B. Make sure the color is black. Let's draw a face right here. And what you want to do with the face is actually really simple. So here's a line layer. I had some troubles with coloring in the first time. So here's the line layer. You put a line layer here, and you want to create a secondary layer right here and put it below the line layer. So this way, increase the size of it. This way, when you paint over the stuff, you won't notice it. So how the hair was made was with this. I used a very large brush. For mine and tripled it. And I went to create another layer here right below it, and I create the same thing. And just turn back the opacity down, and that will give you a lot of texture. Sorry about that, there's a recording issue. The recording screen was in the right place. So right here, I didn't show this in the previous one because the recording was off, and I just noticed it. Right here is a brush tool. So brush tool, and all these settings should come up. Let's delete all the previous ones. So right above here should be your brush presets. So when you first open Photoshop, you will get a few default brushes. So you get general brushes, dry media brushes, and also media brushes, wet media brushes. So here are preset of brushes that you can use. So this is high round pressure brush, and this will react to your touch sensitivity from your pen of your drawing tablet or your screen with a touch sensitivity. But that's not important to point right now. Let's use a round brush, and now you can see right now it's round. So that's here your basic general brushes, and right over here is your brush settings. By the way, if you don't see the settings, just go to Windows, Workspaces, go to Painting, or just go over here and just click the brushes and also brush settings. Click both of them, and that should activate both of the settings right on the side here. So, opening this menu up, will also see your default presets inside Photoshop. For these special effect brushes, this is something that's personal. I downloaded them. That's something that doesn't come with Photoshop. So right here in the general brush sets should give you the generalized brushes. So if you get default brush like this, by turning on this option right above here, will give you pressure sensitivity to the size of your brush based on how much you press on it. New layer. And if you turn this off and also turn this on, opacity, this is the one that changes your opacity based off your pressure sensitivity. And that's pretty good for the standalone brushes that you just want to use once or twice. Which also yeah, pretty nice just for 1-2 things. But I usually prefer using a square brush. Which is good for a lot of reasons, which I use for both my line art, and also my paintings. So just click that off, and that's good for paintings. Turn that on, turn that on, and turn the opacity off, and that will give you, I think the opacity is turned on automatically on this one, but it doesn't matter. If you turn that on, that will adjust the size of it. So that's one of the good things about it. So right here in this menu right here is how you edit your brushes. So size jitter, how much you see down here, you'll see how much the brush changes and everything, and that's controlled by pen pressure. You can change it to a bunch of things, but I recommend pen pressure. For my usual strokes, I recommend not to have this on. So yeah, I just put this to 0%. So you have scatter, the amount of it, and the amount of scatter. This is good for trees, for tree leaves and things like that. So that's pretty nice. So you can make a bunch of tree leaves. If you set scatter down, count, and that's just basic tree stuff. If you have like a tree brush tool, brush tip, which is right here. So you can set a build up. You can add some noises, and that's really helpful. At the beginning of it, I didn't know where this is. I basically just use the default brushes, which is not good. The default brushes are goddamn awful. So yeah, you can do a lot of things with it. You can do particles effects. You can play around with it. So Control T will allow you to change, will allow you to drag the thing, increase or decrease the size of it, and that's pretty handy. And also alongside rotating it. So Control T. Another thing I want to mention right now that I also have in mind is actually let's make a background layer. Boom. Actually no, let's make it red, just to make a clear contrast. So let's do a red background layer, and also the layer type. So just go up here with the space normal with the arrow, just hit it down here, and you can change how the layer is added up. If you go to multiply, it will add it on top of the first layer. If you go color burn, it will increase the previous layer, linear color burn, whatever. And also color dodge, which is something that interests me before. The color dodge is basically good for adding light stuff to that. Let me see if I can find an example. So if you look right here, this will be an example of user color dodge. So you just add a basic of color. So what you want to do is come here how to use the color dodge tool is to simply set the mode to color dodge. Go back to your brushes tool. You may want to get something generalized, so a soft round one, and yeah, set the thing to opacity base, and that's how you create glow stuff. So that's pretty damn nice. So that is the layer types. If you set the mode color layer mode to darken, only the darker stuff will show and lighter stuff will be erased. This is pretty good for scans, so photo scans, which I had used before. Let's say, for example, you have like a really cool sketch like you just did, a character stretch that you worked on months for, but you want to change the color of the outlines or what's inside the layer. So what you want to do right now is, you see the square right. If you see the square right over near the layer panel, right here, just simply click that, and that would lock the layer. And this way you can just paint inside the layer and what's inside the content in the layer. This is also good for the changing colors and stuff like that. So yeah, so you can just paint inside of your layer. So it won't just paint outside. You see, if I just turn this off, if I turn it on right now, I have to paint outside the lines, it doesn't work. So this is really handy for changing the color of your lines and for something as so. And one thing before mentioning is images adjustments, and this is how you changed the small details and the stuff of the lines. And you see right here, if I just increase this changes the exposure values, the saturation, and things like that. So if you go to image adjustments, that's how you change a lot of the colors, saturation, and stuff like that. Or you can just go to a more generalized version of it, go to filter, and then camera raw, which you can change the temperature of your stuff, the exposure, the contrast, the highlights, the shadows, the whites and the blacks, the clarity, the haze, the vibrance, and also with this weird light stuff that I often use. I don't know the name of it. So that's it. Pretty damn handy. So let's say you want this to be one of your brush presets, or the shape or the stamp shape of your brushes. So that's pretty simple to do. So I usually recommend to go with black for this one. Go black, increase the size of your brushes with your bracket tools, and also just go to edit, define brush preset, and there you go, brush preset. You can give it a name, stick figure or skin figure, and that's your brush. And that's your brush right here. You can repeat using it, so you can create like an army of stick figures. So you can create an army. I'll just I had locked down for a second there. Okay, so you can create an army of just stick figurines. And if you want to save this brush preset, just go over here and just hit that a new thing over there, and that will create a new brush. Pretty damn sweet. Or you can go here to two presets and just click that, and that will save it to your two presets, which is pretty nice. Just for a few examples of what brush can actually do, this is a shape that there used to be a shape. This is the shape I did. This is a shape I downloaded offline, and this is the shape of a cloud. As you can see right now. So yeah, you can do a lot of repeated stuff with brushes, stuff like that. Control Z, go backwards, and also some less obvious ones. This is a really cool one that I really like using. It's an opacity brush, which is really good for normal adding color. So let's talk about where you can get these brushes from. So the main resource I use to make to download digital brushes for Photoshop is DeviantArt. Known for its drawing and stuff like that, but I'm not sure if too many people know it for submitting Photoshop brushes. So this is a really cool of free brushes that people just upload here. And yeah, all my brushes and either created myself, I made them myself, or it's downloaded from here. So you can see there's a bunch of stuff you can buy from, not buy, you can download from here. So yeah, really cool. So just search, so you just need to search up Photoshop brushes deviant, and that should give you a bunch of resources that you probably would never completely use. A lot of resource here is not as good, not as effective to your own art style, I would say, but definitely give them a try to see some of the ideas you can do for your own brush presets. So that's pretty nice. So another thing I want to learn about, give you a key about, is the gradient tool. I struggle with it a lot in the past. So gradient tool. There are really specific videos on YouTube that allows you to do it, but here's a general realization of the gradient tool. Just pull it, and that'll give you a radiant. There's like different ways you can do it. Use them. This is from center. This is from, I don't know how these things work. I'm not too familiar with them. So there's a bunch of styles you can use the gradient tool with it, and that's pretty damn cool. So let's say this is a drawing. By using the move tool and just clicking on the area of the thing, of the part you want to show, that will give you the layer is on the layer board. So let's lock this layer in place and use the gradient tool. I can see this is a really cool way to add some color and depth into your drawing without using too much effort. So previously, like that, add a bit of color in there, and then boom. So the shorter the range of your drag is, the more sharp it is. The longer the drag, the more blended in it looks. So that's actually a common way for how digital manga artists like to do this stuff. So black and white, gradient tool. By pressing G, I'll just going over here and selecting the gradient tool to drag it, and that's a really cool way to add some detail to the hair. So you usually just use the brush tools, color the hair in, and then just lock it in place and use the gradient tool to make some really cool shades. Yeah, make me wonder why I don't actually use that more often. It's pretty handy. And for the eyes as well, let's do the demonstration. Let's do the eyes. Move to, click here, select it, lock it in, gradient tool. There we go. Creepy as it feels. Actually no, let's just do this. So yeah, it gives a very nice texture. Look at it, my shows. I remember my hand breaking while drawing this image. Nice. So to finish off a few things about Photoshop, I guess I should end it with this one. I almost forgot to include this one because that'd be horrible. So what you want to do is just select one, let's just say a constant one. A constant brush without any modifiers on there, such as, hello? Let's decrease the size of it. Let's decrease the size of it. For some reason my shortcut didn't work for a second there. I guess computer gets tired too, huh? So you just want to get one of the brushes without any pressure sensitivity enabled. You don't want to get opacity enabled. But just by clicking shift. So you just want to click once, hold down shift, then click another time, and that'll give you a line. For the beginning of my how I first started this drawing was drawing webcomics. That's a long history right now, don't worry about it. So I used to struggle so much by drawing lines. So what I used to do is actually use a ruler to draw all my lines. Just hold the ruler to a screen and just start tracing it. That is a complete waste of time. So what you want to do is click once, hold down the shift key with the brush tool enabled, and then click another time. Click another time and just click again. And that will just draw a straight line for you without too much hustle. So yeah, that's how you draw straight lines. And yeah. So let's see what I have on my notes right now to go over. So the mindset of digital drawing is that you can always change it no matter what you do. So in traditional drawing, once you make a change, you can't erase it off the paper. But in digital drawing, you always rotate different images. You can have different layers and stuff like that. So you can just create a different bunch of shapes and try things out with it. You can see it on this layer. I have this lines, and on the second layer, I have these two lines right here that I can always change it from. If I have let's go with gray. If I don't like this sort of gray, I can always go to edit. My bad. Images, adjustments, go to curves, and we can always change the color of them. RGB, we change it to red, and you can get a red tint. So we just change a gray to a red color by just hitting the adjustment layer and just changing the curves of it. So that is something that you always need to keep in mind while doing digital drawing, that you always change something. The smoothness on top of it for the brush tool, it just basically means you can always, it's very smooth. No matter what lines you try to draw, it will always try to smooth it out for you. For this one, I try to draw like a very straight line, but you can tell it always smooths out the edges for you, which is pretty cool if you want some really neat drawings. But the downside of this is actually lags below. It takes time. It takes more time to do, which can look very digital like, which is a very nice style, but we like. And the final thing that you should know about before digital drawing is that there's actually a lot of programs you can use for digital drawing. So first and foremost is Critter, which is really good for animation, 2D animation, also illustrations, which comes with a large range of default brush tools, which is designed for specifically digital drawing instead of Photoshop, which is mainly for photo editing. And also another drawing program which you never thought about before is probably Illustrator. Illustrator is good for designers and also shape builders. So if you like dealing with shapes, I recommend you to do some research into Illustrator, because Illustrator is a much lesser known program inside Adobe softwares. So yeah, that is my quick guide, quick recommendation to digital drawing. So there's a lot of things to explore within digital drawing. Sometimes it can be stressful, and sometimes it is freaking awful. But it's a really good thing to practice if you want to get into art in the future, because this is something that you might need to use. So I'm Masubi, and I hope you enjoyed this quick overview, I guess you should say, and thanks for watching. As for me though, I'm probably gonna end up in 3D animation, 3D modeling, stuff like with Blender programs and stuff like that, because I just realized recently I play like 2D drawings. So yeah, that's the final speech. Goodbye everybody, have a good day.